we've once again made it to Froggy FriYAY. So, we're going to do 2 froggies today, but this one is going to be filled with some chocolate silver balls. Just to see what happens. Let's go play. Hello everyone and welcome to NerdGoblinart. I'm Lula. So the first froggy we're doing today is going to have some eyes, and I'm going for these lovely blue ones. They're quite nice actually, and I've put a little line on the back so I know which way the line of the eyes are going. I use JDiction UV resin, got my torch ready. So if you are new to resin, this is probably the best way to put the little glass eyes in. I don't always put eyes in them, don't feel like you have to. A lot of the time I do actually like painting them on afterwards, because often I do wing some makes and I'm not always sure what's going to look best. So I've put some of the UV resin into the eye socket, and I just gave the eye a little spray with some isopropyl alcohol. So I'm just, because I know which direction the pupil of the eye is, just using my silicone tool to position it where I want it. And I'll use my UV lamp both this side and around on the other side. You just need a few moments, not too long at all, but if you are feeling I don't want it moving too much, and they can still move even if you put them under a lamp for 5 minutes. If you're too rough with the mould or you're poking and stuff around in there, you can always dislodge, but you can just see there that is in a nice position. And I often use one of my dotting tools just to check that it is solid. So I'm going to do the same thing again, but this time I'm going to spectacularly show you how to drop it and not actually get it where you want it to go first time. But I don't panic. I just make sure that I can reach it, and I managed to flip it over the wrong way, but that's fine. Quickly sorted by just using the silicone tool. You can also use tweezers and stuff as well, but I'm too clumsy with tweezers, so I don't bother. So after I have positioned the eyes and used the torch, I do put them under my lamp for 5 minutes, just to make absolutely sure that they're not just going to pop out when I'm working on the next part. So there you go, Froggy has eyes, and it is not difficult. The only difficult part you're gonna get is the potential of bubbles, and that's why I sprayed it with some isopropyl alcohol first, just to hopefully not get any bubbles in there. So I'm using Apex resin today. It is my go-to and favourite resin because the debubbling of this resin is fantastic. Because I'm doing a coat in here, which is clear, I have put it through the debubbler and it's come out lovely. And of course, you are going to get a few little bubbles. I caused those few bubbles there from the way I poured. I could have been gentler and I could have poured it over a lollipop stick. So these have been in my cupboard for a while and I completely forgot about them. They were meant for Christmas, for us decorating gingerbread houses. But they must have got pushed to the back of the cupboard. We completely forgot about them and they're now out of date. And I know stuff like this people will just eat, but I'd rather not. They might be, they might not taste very nice anyway. So I have seen Ben's works put in, I've not actually seen the process of it, but I've seen him and Nicole using these kind of things in their frogs, and it does like a cool little thing. I think the warmth of the resin kind of does something. I don't know, but we'll see. Just for a spoiler alert, I've put too much resin in and I've put too many balls in. You'll see, it's still cool, I still like it, but just as a little spoiler alert. But I'm not a pro, not really. I'm still learning myself, so just so you know, it's, you know, things happen. But yeah, essentially these stay where they are, except for like one or two that decide to start rising, and I just poke them back down again. But resin will do as resin does, and as it's heating up, some of them do start to float, which is, that's why I say I put too much in. Yeah. And I'm still going, I'm still putting more in. Because, you know, I'm a muppet. But I was like, oh, they're pretty, I like those, so I just kept putting them in anyway. So there you go. And of course, when you're adding things into your resin, that's where you're going to introduce bubbles. And that's why you see me spraying on my hand when the silver pearls are on my hand. I'm actually spraying them before I put them in with my isopropyl alcohol. And of course, I'm just adding more resin. Even though I'm thinking in my head at the time, you probably need to stop putting resin in here now, Lou. I did not. I carried on putting some in because I think I was just in the moment and just like, oh, this resin's so pretty. It's going to look so pretty, I should say. It's the clearest resin I've had for the longest time. It mixed really lovely. And then using the debubbler. So that froggy is good. I am keeping an eye. I wanted a few more in the head as well. So I am keeping my eye on the head space. You do have to remember and not to poke around way too much, because that's when you do dislodge the eyes. And, you know, when you're doing it, when you're making a frog with like a clear element to it, you're gonna see the eye. You're basically gonna get a cyclops, and it's just no. So second Frogaway, and I'm purposely using my older mould here, which is stained from using alcohol inks. The pink ones do this with the silicone. It's not going to make a difference to your pour. It's not going to come out on any pores. But this mould is particularly old now. So I purchased some new ones, and this guy I'm using basically for anything I want to do with adding inks, so that I'm not messing up any new ones too much, at least for a few weeks. So I decided with this one to add in some inks and do a bit of a almost like the Petri effect, but not. So I found these in Hobbycraft in the UK. Rhea Rose, I think. I can't quite make out what it says on there. Now, I spoke to Tim, the base resonator, because I saw him using them, and I'd spotted them earlier in the day in Hobbycraft, and they were on sale. They were over half price for a pack of 3, which is cool. And I spoke to Tim, and he said that's a really good deal. And I asked him if he liked the inks as well, and he said yeah. So the following day I went back and I picked up like 2 packs of them, so I can have a try of them out, because I've got several different kinds of inks, alcohol inks. So I thought I'd like to try these. So that is a rose colour one, and this is the blue. Now, I'm being careful. I'm only going for these two colours because I didn't want a muddy effect to happen. And I'm trying to make sure to get under the chin of the frog as well, so we get some into his head. And the resin I've only poured is only coming up slightly onto the legs because we'll do another pour later. So I just wanted to make sure that we're not going to have like a blank space between, you know, on the limbs. And see, they're just making sure I'm getting underneath the chin of the frog so we get some colour up in the head. And no, there's no eyes put into this frog, and that's so I can show you later how I paint them in. Now, I'm just looking for, I meant to put this in first. Now, this is a little combination of stuff that I've made up myself. It's isopropyl alcohol, and I've added in tiny Turner pigments. Just a bunch of them that I happen to like. And it makes almost like a lot of people Malibu like ink drops. It's lovely and glittery and shimmery. I had meant to drop this in first before the colours, but I completely forgot. But it's okay because I'm going to be stirring in after about 25-30 minutes. I'll be stirring in with the silicone tool. So those glitters are gonna get mixed in. I was having problems with the lids. I pulled the pin out because usually when I have alcohol inks, I always have you use a pin to pop down to open them, but these came sealed and you didn't need it. And for once I was ready with my pin without having to go look for it, and I didn't actually need it, you know. So don't, if you do happen to grab these ones or use these ones, that's cool. But if you happen to be using any of the other alcohol inks like the Let's Resin ones, don't cut off the nibs, use a pin. You know, if you cut off the nib, you are going to make such a mess with the alcohol inks, and they're messy anyway, so don't add to the issue. I ended up decanting mine when I first ever started doing resin, and I didn't know any better. I ended up having to decant them all into the needle nose bottles, and that was a pain in the backside as well, so I do not recommend. So make sure you use a pin. Right, I was just taking a few moments because I was trying to find my Sinker White. This is the Let's Resin Sinker White. I've just, because it comes in like a pretty big bottle, I tend to buy the bigger bottle. It's easier to pop it in the needle nose. So I'm just going to bring you in a minute and we can watch some of them dance in a moment. I'm trying to add more than I usually would. Now, when I do the Petrie effect, which is that fantastic technique that Daniel Cooper taught us all, and I thoroughly enjoy doing that, you know, and I've done it a few times, and I've even done it in a frog. But I also know that if you put in too much Sinker White, you can get a different kind of effect. And that's why I'm being heavy on it, because usually when I want the actual Petrie technique, I only put drops of the Sinker White equal to the same amount of alcohol drops I've put in. So on this occasion, I've basically tripled it because I want a different kind of, I don't want the Petrie effect on this occasion. I've done that in a frog before. I forgot to actually swirl it that time, but it still looks awesome. So check that one out. But this one, I want to have a different kind of look, which we'll see later. So there we go. Look, it's only like one or two trying to pop up to the surface of those silver pearls. But it's all fine, it's good. It's an experience and it's an experiment just to see, because I've never actually seen them do the actual technique on Ben's work, so I was just playing a guessing game. So this I'm going to leave for about, because the resin's already a little bit warm, I've only left for about half an hour. It's already started to get a bit stringy. So I am going deeper with that silicone tool. Now there's no rule to what you specifically have to do. You could do, I'm just doing swirls all over, but I'm going deeper in the middle of the frog. I went a lot deeper with the silicone tool, and this was to hopefully push down the Cinco white, and I'm going a little, yeah, I'm not being completely precise on where I'm going, and you can see there where I've swirled her a little bit. So these need to cure, and here they are. I've mixed up some more resin and I'm using teal. I'm going to brush down onto the froggy with the pearls. This teal is a chameleon powder and it's from Let's Resin, as you just saw. The froggy is still a little bit warm, so I am able to brush this straight onto the frog. It doesn't really want to stay completely in the middle of it, but I gently moved it around and it did stay there after all. I wasn't sure if I was going to need to spray on some of the mould release, or even some hairspray, because that works great if you've gone past that lovely sticky stage of the, you know, of being able to nicely apply any powders. It does help it stick. So that froggy has had his little brush on, and I'm also going to be using from Create and Bloom. It's a pigment paste and it's called Offshore Wave. Now this is a beautiful paste. I will link the website in the description box below. I am slowly building a nice collection of their pigment pastes. You can buy them in sets as well. Individually, they're not terribly priced and they're going to last, because you do not need to use great amounts of this pigment paste. But always make sure you give it a little stir before applying it, because if it's been sitting for a little while on your shelf, it's going to do, you know, it is going to sink a little bit, you know, it's going to separate just the smallest amount. So make sure you give it a stir. Now this particular pigment paste has a shimmer to it, and it is beautiful. I used it in, I made a bowl a couple of weeks ago, a beautiful blue bowl, and I popped this particular pigment paste into it, and the shimmer in it, oh, it's just yummy. It really is gorgeous. I really like it. Rather than faff around with putting my stirring stick into there, because it was already sitting in the resin, I decided just to use my silicone tool that I'd stirred it with. It just made more sense. It's important to remember as well that if you have burnished some any powders down onto your make, don't spray it then with isopropyl alcohol, because look at that, because you could end up taking away what you've added. You know, the isopropyl alcohol will clean it up, and you might get speckles. Maybe you want the effect, perhaps, but I don't on this occasion. Now this colour, I can't get it. It's so, I love blues, but this one, if you can afford, you know, if you're gonna get a bunch of any of the Create and Bloom pigments, I do really recommend this one because I like it so much, and that shimmer is just beautiful. It really, really is. I know that the teal powder, chameleon powder that I burnished on as well. It's a chameleon, so we're going to get a few interesting little colours in there, and this is going to add that little bit of a shimmer to it, so it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Doesn't always have to be black mica powder that you add to your, you know, for your chameleons. So it's just so pretty, so lovely. And I'm just making sure that I'm getting the resin into all the places it needs to be, and your problem areas are always going to be underneath the froggo's chin, but these moulds are pretty good, so you can kind of see, and it's quite nice that, you know, it's you can see any of the tiny little micro bubbles, and as you bring in your silicone tool you can see them coming up. And you can use, once you've poured in, you can use your isopropyl alcohol and a heat gun. So with this one, I'm going to still use the teal, and no, I changed my mind. I just noticed my fingers going, no, you changed it. This is Galaxy chameleon powder from Let's Resin, and I'm just going to burnish this in to the Froggy's Totos, because we're just going to do a darker mixture on the hands. His hands, his feet. Oh dearie me. Sorry, that little thing down the bottom of the screen is part of my mask. I've just realised that it's in shot, just in case you wondered what that was. As I was trying to, you know, look properly and make sure I didn't have too much of the chameleon powder all mashed in there. I've still got some of the Create and Bloom left over, so that's going to go in the main body of the froggo because it's already quite dark in the belly, and then I'll add some black. I'm just giving it a tap, and a gentle one, because you don't want to dislodge you're not going to anyway. These froggy ones can be quite difficult to unmold, but I was just giving it a little tap to make sure I didn't have loads of floating chameleon powder. So used up the last of the resin that had the Create and Bloom in. I'm just adding a little bit of this because I'm not going to need a lot of it, and I'm going to add the black, that's grey, I'm going to add the black Let's Resin mica powder to go into the feet. It's not going to mix a great deal in. Mica powders are pretty good for not blending too much together unless you specifically stir them in. So just giving it a gentle stir around now and making sure to get all the sides. Because this is mainly going into the feet, make sure that your powder is thoroughly mixed into the resin. You just don't want to, I always say this in every video, I'm never really bothered by micro bubbles, but the powder, if it's not stirred in properly, can cause actual holes, not just not like bubbles, you'll get holes in your make. Yeah, they can be fixed with some UV resin afterwards, but I don't want to be doing that, so I like to make sure that it is thoroughly mixed in. I'm not doing a large amount of speeding up in this week's video. This is because I've had quite a few new subscribers over the past week or so, and it's just for anyone that is new to resin or considering to pick up resin. I think occasionally is a good idea to go back to basics. Some of you know exactly what you're doing, but others don't, and some may be considering picking it up. So it's nice, I think, sometimes just to not be hitting the speed up button too many times. So what is Froggy Friday? Froggy Friday is a collaboration that happens every Friday. Karen from the Dragon's Cave first came up with it and got Lisa from Girl in the Garage on board very quickly, who set up the collaboration. And over the last couple of months, more of us have been joining in, particularly myself and Tim, the base resonator, and Gert from Gert Creates. So if you're interested in joining in, it does not have to be resin. You do not have to be an established channel. It could be your very first video ever. It could be a colouring in, it could be a drawing, it could be felting, it could be anything. Just have fun with it, and you can email any one of us. And as I'm aiming this to possibly new resin artists or up-and-coming ones, it's always worth saying about having a level and balanced surface. Unless you're Sally from All Aboard Resin, because she lives on a houseboat. So it must be interesting for her when it hits low and high tides. But I have a Teexpert leveling table on my desk. It has like a spirit level in the middle of it, and you just adjust the legs. You need to, I check it every time I'm about to sit down and do a project, just to make sure it is balanced. I also have a JDiction one, but there are other brands available. I believe you can even get them on Temu now as well. And I know that people make them too, about, you know, getting their own. I've seen one person, I can't remember who though, making one out of a chopping board, because you can buy leveling legs. So that's something to consider. So these are all cured. I've done this all in the same day because I have been impatient and used my heat mat. I forgot what it was called for a moment there, but I caught on very quickly, didn't I? It's a difference when I do my voiceovers in the mornings and not in the night. Okay, so this is the way I have found to best unmold these froggos. They can be a bit of a pain for getting them out, but I release the feet using the dotting tool, and if I get the hips out first, I find that the rest of it comes well, and that comes off lovely. And that colour, look at that blue. And check it. Can you see, like, it looks like they're linked up, almost like a webbing effect. Yeah, so but I definitely put too many in, and I put in too much of the resin in the first pour. And yes, some of them decided they were going to float, they were going to run away. But I still like it. I love the colours. Look at him. The colours are gorgeous. We'll have another little look in a moment. So the same again. And yes, there's a little bit of overpour on one or two of the feet, but that is fine. I can get that off using either or both the deburring tool and a craft knife. Just being careful. That's all. So I always use the dotting tool because I don't have nails. And if you release underneath the chin area, along with all the toes, once you do this, look, ready? Out they, put that down because so I can have hands. So out come the hips, and then I can turn it over and just pull out the head. It's the easiest way I've found. And like I say, I can just remove any overage. And again, this colour is, oh, I love that blue. Even the black didn't mix too much. But look, check it out. It's done what I was hoping. By putting in the heavier load of the Sinker White and putting the silicone tool in deeper. I don't know what happened to the pink. The pink has just completely dissipated. Can you see the sparkle as well? That's from that mix of the tiny Turner powders with isopropyl alcohol. It's it's like a mixture. Part of me is like, oh, it's like water spray coming up. Then I'm like, oh, it's like fireworks. And I was like, oh, it's a flower bursting into bloom. It is. I'm so pleased it worked. So, yeah, smooth your froggies. You gotta smooth them. No being rude. I'm so pleased. So, this Froggo is going to get some eyes. This is a blue Posca pen. These are acrylic based markers. They don't take a great deal of time to dry, but this Froggy will need at least 2 coats of the pen. And if I go over anywhere that I don't want it to be, I can use isopropyl alcohol and a micro brush. Nice and easy, just to give it a tidy job. So, while those eyes are having a little rest, I was debating on whether to give Froggo a crown because of the silver in the head already. But I thought, no, I'll feel bad. Yes, I'm that much of a freak. I would feel bad that frog didn't have a crown and all the other ones do, because that's the way I am. Oh, it's fun being me. And I got out a crown for this guy as well. Look at it. I keep looking. And if you look, I wish the camera would pick it up because there's depth inside this frog. You can see like the darker colour inside with the glitter. Oh, it's so pretty. So this froggy gets a crown as well. And I've gone for one of the darker coloured crowns. It's like a black chrome. I'd say a chrome, yeah. So it only takes a few moments. I'm aware I'm not wearing gloves, but I'm not touching anything. I just placed it on. So I'm going to give the eyes their second colouring. I did debate for a little while on what colour to do the eyes. I didn't know whether to try and contrast them completely. I didn't know whether to do them silver. But then I settled on going for the blue. And I think it works. And if it hadn't have worked, I could have just cleaned it away anyway with some isopropyl alcohol. Now, I've just sprayed some on my mat, and that's the micro brush. You can get them on Amazon, you can get them on Temu, AliExpress, all those places. They are useful. I've only ever found them useful for this kind of thing. I don't get on with them greatly. I see other resin artists using them for all sorts of things. But I just use them for cleanups. And if you happen to knock a little bit of the pen where you didn't want to knock it, just go back over it. That's the beauty of these type of pens. So I'm just gonna tidy up. I managed to catch it. I think I need my eyes tested, to be honest with you. I think I'm at that age now where I need to start wearing glasses for small objects. And I'm going to use a Posca pen, again, a black one, just to give him a line across his eye. This had time to dry also, that's why there was a funny jolt I edited out waiting for it to dry, because I had nothing else to do really than wait, and you don't want to be sitting around waiting. You can get as fancy smanchy as you want with doing this, but I figured, you know what, I'm just going to go straight in there with a line and be as careful as I can be. So that's having a little dry before I put UV resin on the eyes. But I was looking, I was like, I feel like I want to give something in the middle, like it's coming up. Now I got these little mini sequiny things. They're not sequins, are they? Mini rhinestones. I got them ages ago from Temu. I didn't expect them to come as they did. They come in this long packaging, and I, as usual, I'm very cabbie-handed with tiny little things, and you can watch me for a few moments. I have slightly sped this bit up where I'm fighting to try and pick them up and see if they would look okay on the back of the frog. But I had to call, I was like, I haven't got a clip to clip this bag up, and if I just put the bag down, the rhinestones are going to go everywhere. So I was calling Mr. Goblin to please get me one of those food clips, because I don't want to keep, I can't do it. And this is why I don't use tweezers much. Look, see, I'm rubbish. I'm even trying to I'm a liability. Trying to use tweezers as well. I can't do it, just can't. So I was just calling Mr. Goblin to come and help me and clip up this little baggie of the rhinestones. I will get like some little container things for them. So there we are. I have my hand back. Hooray! I could do it with 2 hands, but not with one apparently. Like, where's my other hand gone? I was holding it out to Mr. Goblin to pass him the packet so we could clip it up. Oh, it's hard being me sometimes. I never make much sense. So, 2 hands, hooray! I have 2 hands, isn't that wonderful? So, it's just deciding. I was just trying to decide if I want one, if I want a couple. I only pulled out a few. And if it's looking good and, you know, if I'm happy with it, I'm like, yeah, all I gotta do is add a tiny little bit of that UV resin and that'll hold it in place. I think they're really pretty. And I'm going to say as well, before I'm finished, thank you to my subscribers and thank you also to my members. Your likes, comments, thumbs up, it makes my day. You know, after the day after I post a video, it's one of my favourite things to do is to see the comments and reply. I do try to reply to everyone because honestly, I just want to show my appreciation for you sitting through me waffling and stuff like that. I do have a membership as well. Oh, it's so pretty. I just found another one. I'm going to cover the eyes as well. And that's just, I put UV resin on my mat and I'm just using my tool there just to pop it on. Watch for bubbles. If you do get a bubble, either use your silicone tool to get it away or use a lighter, a long neck lighter. Yeah, I do have membership as well, which you are welcome to join. It's $3.99 a month. That is a base cost. I don't do any other levels. It's just one cost for everybody. And you all have the same access to things. I'm still building it. I'm still getting my head around it, but you will get at least once a week early access to 1 video a week. That is I've just started a monthly members exclusive video. I did a painting and that is just for members only. And you also get access to the Goblin album, which is the Nerd Goblin album, which is pretty cool. A lot of people do enjoy the music that I have playing in a lot of videos. And I know there's not music in this week's one because I've been waffling away, but that's cool. I think that's cool as well, to be able to have the confidence now to waffle away to you guys, because I used to struggle, but now I'm finding it better and easier, and I kind of enjoy it. So I liked how those little rhinestones looked, and this is the first time I've ever used a rhinestone, by the way. Are you surprised? But check it. I am so pleased that it worked. It's like smoky effect and bursting, and oh, it's so awesome. I love him. He's so pretty. And this guy as well, it didn't go fully to plan, no. But now I know and I can try it again. But look at that colour. That is a mixture of the teal and the Tiny Turner. Not Tiny Turner. That is Let's Resin, Chameleon Powder and Create and Bloom Offshore. And it's got a shimmer to it. It is stunning. Look at it. It's so pretty. Hello! Nice to meet you. They are beautiful. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please check out the collaboration. Love you and stay weird. Full of colors and swirls. Nerd Goblin art draws a magic worlds. With foxes that prance and badgers that dance. A whirlwind of
of dreams with a single glance. Gerald the alligator grins so wide. In enchanted waters he loves to hide. Dragons breathe wonder with flames so bright, each creature born from a magic night. Nerd Goblin paints life in every brush. Animals frolic in a vibrant rush. From canvases to tales they leap, in a realm where fantasy meets deep. The studio's alive with swirling